Okay. Before we start the meeting tonight, we'll observe a 1 minute silence for the passing of former councillor Mary Fleet. Thank you. Good evening, councillors, officers, members of the public and press. Welcome to this meeting of the council. This meeting is being live streamed on the website and recorded. I'll now hand over to the council's managing director, Denise McGuckin.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, everyone. I will now run through some of the working practices and etiquette for remote virtual meetings. Firstly, I would like to remind members of the virtual meeting protocol, which has been circulated to all members previously. Members are reminded to remain on mute until requested through the chair or myself to speak, which will eliminate background noises and any unintentional disturbances. When called to speak, please remember to unmute yourselves, and members are reminded of the council procedure rules in respect of speaking once during debate and the length of speeches. We will begin the meeting by way of a roll call of all those in attendance remotely, and may I request members to confirm they have a paper copy of the agenda and can both hear and see councillors in the meeting. I will now hand over to Democratic Services to begin the roll call.
Thank you. Could I begin the roll call with Councillor Christopher Akers-Belcher?
Yes to all, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stephen Akers-Belcher?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Brewer?
Hello, and yes to everything.
Thank you. Councillor Brown?
Yes to everything.
Thank you. Councillor Buchan?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Councillor Cartwright? I'm not sure if Councillor Cartwright's joined the meeting as yet, so I'll move on to Councillor Cassidy.
Yes to all.
Thank you. Councillor Fleming?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Councillor Hall? Thank you. Councillor Hamilton, I'm not sure has joined the meeting at the moment, so I'll move on to Councillor Harrison.
Yes, I'm here. Unfortunately, I can't see anyone. I don't know whether that's a bad or good thing. And my internet died, but I have the papers, thank you, and I can hear everyone.
Thank you. Councillor Howson?
Yes to all, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hunter?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Councillor James?
Yes, I can see and hear, and I believe I have all the papers.
Thank you. Councillor King?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Councillor Lauderdale?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Lindridge?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Councillor Little?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Councillor Loynes, we have apologies from Councillor Loynes. Councillor Loynes is still ill and submitted her apologies. Councillor Marshall?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Councillor Moore?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Councillor Prince?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tony Richardson? Councillor Tony Richardson? I'll come back to Tony. Councillor Carl Richardson?
Yes, I've got everything, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smith?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Councillor Stokel?
Yes to all, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tennant?
Yes, I believe I've got all the paperwork.
Thank you. Councillor Thomas?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Councillor Ward?
Yes to all.
Thank you. And Councillor Young as chair.
Yes to all.
Thank you. Councillor Tony Richardson, just going back to Tony, I think that was the only one outstanding.
Yeah, it keeps going in and out. I can hear you now.
All right, thanks, Tony. Thank you. And I understand Councillor Cartwright's just joined the meeting as well. And that concludes the roll call. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Amanda. Councillor James has got a hand up. Do you have something to say, Councillor James?
Yes, I've got two things to say, Chair. First of all, can I formally request that the council collectively, because I know some officers and some members will have been in touch, but that collectively we send our best wishes to Brenda Loynes, who is currently the Mayor of Hartlepool, and wish her well, and her husband.
Thank you for that, Councillor James.
Okay, the second item is about our agenda tonight, because the agenda that I'm certainly looking at infers that we have an exempt item to consider reports from the council's committees and to receive questions and answers on any of those reports. Now, they've never been in private session. And I also don't believe that it's appropriate that nominations for Freeman or Alderman is also done in private. Normally, it's quite a high-flying meeting that everybody would have known beforehand who's been nominated, because they've obviously accepted nominations. So I don't quite understand why we need to move into private session at all. And I would hope that other members would agree with that we actually remain in open session.
Let me just take some advice, Councillor James. Just give me a moment. Yeah, I'm going to pass over to the Managing Director.
Thank you, Chair. We are following normal practice when it comes to nominations. I think once the council have voted on them and then we have the celebratory event, that's when they're in open practice, Marjorie. So that's what I've checked, and that's what's been happening in the past.
Yeah, but not. So what about committees? Committee information is not normally done in private.
I think what it means is the Civic Honours Committee rather than the Neighbourhoods or Economic Growth or FMP. It's the Civic Honours Committee.
Well, then can I just
be more explicit? In
yeah,
future.
exactly. So can I just suggest that the agenda for tonight's meeting is a little bit rogue, really, that it isn't actually accurate. If it means just one committee, it should have named that committee.
Thank you, Marjorie. I'll take that on board for future.
Thanks, Councillor James. Moving on to item one, apologies for absence. We've only received apologies from Councillor Brenda Loynes. And as Councillor James has said, we wish her very well at this time. Are there any other apologies? I don't think that there are. Okay, item 2, declarations of interest. I understand a number of members will know some of the nominees. It's a matter for members as to whether they wish to declare an interest. However, please be mindful not to name individuals at this point. If you wanted the names to be recorded, we'll do that in the closed session, please. Are there any declarations of interest? Councillor Brown, again, be careful not to name any names, please, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just to announce that I do know people, but it won't sway my judgment at all.
Thanks, Councillor Brown. Councillor Akers-Belcher.
Thank you, Chair. It's just to note that I've already declared the civic honours. I've had a personal interest because when I was leader of the council, I had come into contact with all nominees.
Thank you. Councillor Lisa Smith. Councillor Lisa Smith.
Press the wrong button. Do apologise.
No
just to say that I used to work for one of the organisations some years ago.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Shane Moore.
Thank you, Chair. It's just similar to Councillor Akers-Belcher. Obviously, in my position, I've come across many of the people who've been nominated.
Councillor Stokel.
Similar to Councillor Christopher Akers-Belcher and Chair Brewer, I registered an interest at Civic Honours Committee and wish to do the same here.
Councillor Carl Richardson.
Yes, I know a couple of the nominees myself as well.
Thank you. Councillor Anne Marshall.
I, like others, know one of the nominees, but I had no part in the Civic Honours.
No problem.
Committee.
Councillor Bob Buchan.
I know some of the people, but it will not sway my judgment in this meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Marjorie James.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, I would have hoped that anyone that's been nominated as a Freeman or as an alderman would be known to the council's membership. If not, how come they're where they are?
Yeah,
so,
exactly right.
Obviously, I do know quite a number of the nominees, and some better than others. But as they know themselves, it would never sway my judgment one way or another.
Councillor Dave Hunter.
Yeah, I know a couple of the people nominated, but again, as has been previously said, it wouldn't affect my judgment on voting.
Okay, thank you. And I am the same, and I imagine many others are. So we'll just take that as a blanket. We definitely may know the people on the list. There's no business required by statute to be done. Item 4 is obviously an exempt report. Can somebody move that we go into closed session, please?
I'll move that for you, Chair.
Okay, can somebody second it?
I'll second that, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lindridge. We'll move into closed session. Cut the stream, please. You're just going to say that they've been accepted. That's it, and then they're going to be notified. Okay, welcome back, everybody. I'm going to hand over to the Managing Director to report on the outcome of the exempt items vote.
Thank you, Chair. I'm pleased to announce that the nominees for nominations, for Free Men and Free Women has been considered by Council this evening and have been successful. I'll be informing the candidates direct myself.
Thank you very much, Denise. We shall now move on in the meeting to one further item. We have a number of councillors who will be retiring or standing down at the next election. And I, for one, would like to pass on my gratitude to all of those councillors for their hard work, determination and commitment to the residents and to the Borough of Hartlepool. And I think from my perspective, the experience of the former leader of the council, Councillor Christopher Akers-Belcher, has been absolutely fantastic, and I thank him for the relationship we've had over the years. Councillor Stephen Akers-Belcher, we go even further back in that respect, and I remember some fairly heated meetings that I've been in, and your support at that time was really useful and really helpful at those moments in time. We don't need to go into the detail of those, but we know what we're talking about. Councillor James as well, we've had a long relationship both professionally and through the council, and we don't always get on and we don't always see eye to eye, but that's the beauty of politics and democracy. But I do know that there's a number of people who may want to speak, and namely those people who are retiring or standing down. I'll hand over now to Councillor Christopher Akers-Belcher.
Thank you, Chair. I've cut this down to just a page, so at least if we were in the council chamber, you wouldn't be able to walk out. So if you don't want to listen, just turn your video off. So I just want to say a few words and a few thank yous, because it's only 52 days till my term as councillor comes to an end, and I have to say I'm very much looking forward to retiring from politics in May. If everyone remembers, I actually made this decision going back to the election in 2016, which was my last successful election, when I actually, I think I recorded the highest Labour vote in the town. And I have to say that politics now is very different from when I was first elected to the Rosmy Award in 2009. I have to say, I never envisaged I would have been given the huge privilege of being leader of Hartlepool Borough Council from 2013 to 2019. And I'm actually incredibly proud that we managed to lever in that time, over £200 million worth of investment for Hartlepool. And I think this last vote on the council tax freeze, we've managed to freeze council tax 6 out of the last 12 years while I've been on the council, which I think is a record in itself. The town is now the fastest growing borough in the Tees Valley, and we have one of the highest survival rates for small and medium-sized businesses in the north. I also remember signing the historic agreement bringing the National Museum of the Royal Navy to Hartlepool, and then securing the £40 million investment from the combined authority, and I'm sure that will safeguard Hartlepool as the home of HMS Trincomalee for decades to come. I have to say I'm proud of the improvements that we've made on Church Street and Church Square. And even with the pandemic, this is now leading to new businesses coming forward and slowly moving into the area. We've worked at progressing on the TV and film studios for the Northern School of Art. And who would have thought, going back to 2009 when I was first elected to the council, that we'll be building TV and film studios in Hartlepool. I have to say I'm immensely proud of some of the small achievements, such as securing the funding for the memorial on the headland that commemorated the 100-year anniversary of the bombardment, as well as pulling a few strings to ensure that we secured 130 ceramic poppies from the Tower of London in our museum to remember the 130 lives that were lost that day. There are 2 new art installations, The Waves by Stuart Langley at Seaton Carew, and a dedication to Sir Ridley Scott of The Boy and the Bicycle in the Transport Interchange. I have to mention our free swim scheme. It was one of the first things that I wanted to introduce in Hartlepool, as well as the Holiday Hunger project. And one of the first projects that I was ever involved in was the creation or building our children's home in Hartlepool, and it's good to see that committees are taken forward to have another children's home in Hartlepool. And I think the last year I was leader, our free swims topped about 10,000. So that's amazing in itself. So overall, I definitely feel I've been part of history, but my greatest blessing, and I say this to everyone, has got to be our Syrian resettlement programme. And I remember before all the publicity that was both national and local, I made the decision to stand in front of full council and delegate responsibility down to myself to respond to the humanitarian crisis. And at the time, people didn't really know what was going to happen. But I think I had the foresight to protect the lives of families who were fleeing a war-torn area. And I will look back, and we have over 40 families that are now safe in Hartlepool and are able to call Hartlepool their home. And this includes over 100 children who will now be able to grow up safely in what I believe is the wonderful town of Hartlepool. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet and help so many fantastic residents, but I have to say, the overriding thing for me is I want to spend more time with my husband, Stephen, who has been my rock through some very difficult times in those 12 years. And I want to spend time with my 4 grown-up children and our beautiful granddaughter. I will not miss the role of being a councillor, but I will miss a lot of people, and I can't mention everyone. But I have to thank Denise, our managing director, who has been both a friend and confidant to me for many, many years. And I still remember first meeting her in Chicago Rock in December 2004. And I look back and now we've got the Biz, and that just keeps receiving awards after awards. But that's where it all started. And at least we've got the Biz to show for it. And I have huge respect for Denise. And she's never treated me as the role. She's always treated me as Christopher, and that's all I've ever asked for. The staff in member services and democratic services are absolutely superb, and I can't go through them all, but I'm going to miss them all enormously. So I just want to thank everybody for the support that I was given while I've been a councillor at Hartlepool Borough Council.
Thanks, Christopher. Councillor Stephen Akers-Belcher. Stephen, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to, first of all, pay tribute to my ward colleague, Marjorie James, who we have worked together for a lot of years on the council. And the thing what's driven us both is to improve our area. We have one of the most challenging wards in the town, and a lot of problems there, and together we have worked through a lot of problems on the ward, and Marjorie has been the kind of councillor who people could really wish for. She's loyal and dedicated, and she is hardworking. And one thing about Marjorie, as well as being very loyal and speaking her mind, she's a fantastic filibuster as well. So I've seen many times where Marjorie has held up processes for the good of the town and the good of the people, and she has unpicked things. And I can certainly think of a few occasions where she has pulled that fantastic knack of pulling things apart and altering a decision until actually it's realised that this isn't sensible here, and the right decision has finally come to mind. I've as I say, worked with Marjorie for a very long time, but as well, she's been a great support to me. People will know that I suppose I've been quite a controversial figure over my 17 plus years as a councillor, and that's just part of the territory. I think there's people in this council who sit there and say very little, And I think maybe that's one of the tricks. If you don't want to be controversial, if you don't want to get people to have a go, then maybe don't say much, don't do much. But that isn't the style of myself, and I know it certainly isn't the style of Marjorie to keep quiet. And I think, to be honest, that's been to the detriment why people are probably the way they are. And I'd just like to thank Marjorie, and I have enjoyed working with you, and you've been a fantastic ward colleague to me. So thank you very much. I would just like to say as well that although I have made the decision, I've recently taken on a new role and recently just been moved up to a more senior role within the organisation, and it's taken a lot of my time. So I'd hope to stand and I'd hope to continue the work, but realistically, I'm working in a very demanding job, and I'm also running a community centre on a voluntary basis, which involves a very successful youth project, which has run for a long time. And to be honest, it's been more enjoyable. And the thing what drives me is the community centre and the Rifty Youth Project. And just because I am a local councillor at the moment, I'm not going to walk away from that, and I'll continue leading that project and taking a full part. From a personal point of view, I've met some fantastic residents over a period of time. And sometimes people say that residents can be quite difficult, and some people have opinions about residents. They've been great, despite things what people say on social media about me and points have made. Very few people have actually come to my face and said what maybe they would say on social media. And in the main, people have been fantastic. I think my advice as well is keep it real for anyone coming forward. I remember a scenario where myself and Marjorie were out delivering our usual weekly letters in the ward, and we had then Councillor Barclay with us, and just as we were going through the ward and we were dealing with ward issues and very day-to-day things, about an hour before then I was sat with my next seat to me was Prince Philip, as we'd had a meal with the Queen and Prince Philip, and it just goes to show how diverse the role is. He actually thought I'd stole the chain because I looked very young to be mayor at the time. I did like that at the time. I suppose it was a bit of a boost, but we had a laugh about it. And, this just goes to show the role is very diverse. And what I would say to people is, please, the voters out there, I've been returned. I've had the highest Labour vote when I was a Labour Party councillor one time, and I think Christopher beat me the year before. And people do want councillors who do community work as well as sitting in the civic centre, and that's something I've always taken serious. And what I would say to the voters out there, make sure you probe and look at who's actually standing. There will be people standing in Hartlepool who have no connections to the wards and are just wanting to be a councillor, and I would encourage everybody to question why that individual wants to stand. And I don't want to spoil things tonight and be political and have a go, because I'd like to end well tonight, so I'm not going to do that. But please, I hope the voters do, and certainly in my ward, deserve good representation, and I hope they get that. So I'd just like to wish everybody well. I'm not going to say I'm going to miss you all, because there's quite a lot of people who I don't have time for. I've always been open about that, and there's a lot of false people within the council, but equally we've got a lot of good people out there and a lot of decent people, and I will always remember them fondly. So thank you very much for everyone who's been honest with me, and for those who haven't been honest, I hope we have very little contact in the future. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Councillor Marjorie James.
Thank you, Chair. I, of course, want to reiterate what Stephen's just said, and thank you very much for the lovely comments that you've made, Steve. But I mean, I remember meeting Stephen for the first time when he came into the Labour Hall while I was printing leaflets, and asked if we had a poster for Peter Mandelson at the time for his bedroom window. And when I asked him, well, why do you want one? He was a little bit taken aback, but what he actually said was he wanted it to annoy his dad. Because, you know, as a 17-year-old, he wasn't even old enough to vote. So having a poster in his window was actually his only opportunity to have a statement at all. And he took that. And from that point onwards, he was in the Labour Hall every day, assisting with the elections, and has just gone on from there. So I've known him since he was 17, which is longer than I'm going to point out. And but I mean, for 22 years, I've been on Hartlepool Borough Council in 2 terms. And the last one, actually, I were elected by Boris because I got a 1-year extension like everybody else did, because otherwise we would have all been gone last year. I still feel that it's been a productive year. And some of the highlights for me, you know, are very, very personal to some residents, you know, because getting the best for our residents has always been the bottom line for me and Stephen. And I know that that's been the approach that a number of councillors have made. Christopher works that way as well. But members of the public are what makes it important as to who our council is. You know, I mean, we can all sit there and say, oh, well, we've done this and we've done that. But at the end of the day, it's for people to judge who they were willing to support time after time. And I've had every confidence in the residents in Manor House Ward, and wouldn't really have wanted to represent anywhere else at that point in time and up till today. I've worked with a number of officers across the piece. Some I've liked, some I haven't liked, but they've all known where they stand, even when it's been on their knees. But you know, there are very few councillors left at the moment. I think there's only about 3 that are still on the borough from when I first came onto the borough. And so things have changed. I've enjoyed being in my adopted home of Hartlepool. I moved here in 1992 and wouldn't really have wanted to live anywhere else, actually. I think it's a lovely place. It's got a really good future in front of it. And as I've said to a few, I do know how to write a public question, so I will be watching. But thank you very much for the comments, and thank you very much for your comradeship during the years, and that goes for members and officers alike. I have enjoyed the time, but I am ready to retire and to spend some time with my husband and my grandchildren. So thank you very much for that, and I look forward to watching how you get on over the years.
Thanks, Marjorie. Thanks for that. Okay, we're going to move progress now. So I'm going to give 2 minutes to Councillor Tennant and to Councillor Lindridge. You've got 2 minutes with which to put your points across. Councillor Tennant.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try and keep it short and sweet. It's well known that, largely speaking, there's been a few differences between myself and some of the councillors who've said that they're going to retire from the council. But you know what? Sometimes in life you have to put aside your personal differences and wish people well with their future. And I do mean that. I'm not going to go down the route of pointing out any difficulties in the past or anything like that. I don't think it's appropriate. I think it's the right thing to say that we do recognise the work that you've done. Whether we agree with it or not is not the point today. And to wish you all very well for the future. And that goes for everybody really as well, with their own election campaigns. And if you're standing for re-election, best of luck to everybody. And also I'd like to put on record, councillors, whether I would like to put on record my own appreciation for former councillor Mary Fleet, who actually was the person who retired from council. And it was actually, when I was elected, that was the seat that I took. And I met Mary before she left the council formally, and she was always very, very appreciative, always very, very kind. So I'd just like to put that on record as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lindridge. Councillor Lindridge. Are you there?
I am, but I was on mute.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I'd just like to say a few words about all 3 retiring councillors. First of all, Christopher Akers-Belcher, been a great ambassador for the town. I think he's shown great leadership qualities in improving the quality of life for the residents in Hartlepool and been instrumental in the regeneration of Hartlepool over the years, as well as making strong links with the National Museum of Hartlepool with the Royal Navy. I think it was really important. He fought tooth and nail to have the council tax froze. He was instrumental in driving the Labour Party forward for the benefit of the residents there. With Stephen, I'd like to praise him for the work he's done at the RIFT. He's worked in a really deprived area, but he's always put the residents first, and I do believe that he's worked tirelessly over the years for the benefit of the residents. I think we're actually losing a massive lot of experience with both Christopher and Stephen, and also Marjorie here. In terms of Marjorie, it's been really
John Lauderdale.
So in terms of Marjorie, James, I think she's been an absolute professional. She's dedicated to the needs of the residents. She challenges decisions in committees and in the Labour group I was in. She needs to be praised for the actual homework that she does and a fine-tooth comb she runs through things in committees. And she's got vast experience, and I think it'll be to the detriment of the town when she does leave. And finally, I'd just like to say that I do believe that both Stephen and Christopher have had a lot of unjustified press in the past, and what a lot of residents that's not on the wards they won't understand the hard work that they did put in the ward, and they're dedicated to the residents, and they had their interests at heart all the time. And I think there will be a huge miss on the wards, as all three councillors will. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Lindridge. Councillor Carl Richardson. We're going to stick these to 2 minutes, so I will be cutting you off after 2 minutes.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fair enough then. Yeah, I'll be very brief. We are losing two colleagues. Steve Thomas, who was a fantastic chair of adult services, and he was a very principled person. He is now leaving the town, but he's still going to stay active in the Labour Party, and we may see him some other time. But I wish him well for the future. I know Brenda was going to be speaking, but I'm not too sure she can get in.
Yes, I can, but I don't have no hand to put up.
Oh, okay, then I'll leave it.
And I was actually waiting for the chair to announce this.
Oh, sorry, Brenda, but I won't.
No, you're all right.
Just a few words about Leslie Hamilton, my ward colleague. She has been absolutely brilliant. I know she's not here tonight, but one of the things that she has done, she worked her socks off within the Victoria ward. She helped hundreds of people in that ward. She also attended on a regular basis residents' association meetings, and was a good advocate for the residents of the Victoria ward. And it will be a sad miss to me personally. She's been a fantastic colleague, and I know that she's got a job now, and a really good job, and she likes the job. And I certainly wish her all the best for the future. And I know that Helen Howson feels the same way. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor Shane Moore.
Thank you, Chair. I will keep it brief. I appreciate we're limited on time. Just like to place on record my thanks, especially to Councillor Christopher Akers-Belcher. Without his guidance, especially in the early days of when I took over as the leader of the council, I would have literally been dropped in the deep end. And I think it's a testament to Christopher's character in that despite the fact that he was stepping down from the role, he still did a comprehensive handover, and he's helped to make sure that things that were in progress continued on, and because he wanted to see the betterment of the town get better. And I thank Christopher for all of his help and assistance these past 2 years. Just briefly on Marjorie and Stephen, again, a wealth of knowledge there, and I'll thank them personally separately for everything that they've done to assist, and I'm sure Marjorie will continue to give me headaches afterwards as well. Stephen Thomas, I have a lot of time and respect for Councillor Thomas. He's been fantastic, especially on the Health and Wellbeing Board this year for me, and he always asks the right questions and probes the right probes when we need him to. So Stephen will be a loss. Councillor Leslie Hamilton, again, I have a lot of time for Leslie. She's a lovely woman. She's as mad as a bag of frogs some days, but I love the fact that she'll just pick up the phone and raise any issue with me. There's no party divide with Leslie, and I love that about her. And I wish everybody the best for the future. I apologise if I've missed anybody who isn't standing. And then finally, Chair, I'd just like to thank everybody, to be honest. It has been a very difficult year, and this is probably the last time I'm going to have a chance to speak to you all. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart for everything that you've done, whether you've been involved in numerous committees or whether you've just been helping out in your local communities. As councillors, you don't often get enough credit for the work that you do put in, but I'll tell you, it is appreciated, and I am thankful for it.
Thanks, Shane. You just missed your 10-second warning there. Councillor Brown.
Can I just say my hand's up, please, Chair?
Well, I've called Councillor Brown.
Thank you,
Yes,
Chair.
I know.
Well, I'll keep it very brief, Brenda. I'll literally be a couple of minutes. I think everything's been said about the people that are standing down, but I would like to just personally wish everyone who's standing down all the best for the future. That's it, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Brenda Harrison.
That's very kind, Chair. Thank you. It's very difficult when you haven't got a hand to put up.
So,
just on the subject of Stephen Thomas, as you all know and will realise, he's been a fantastic councillor over a number of years. He's been a good mentor and support for others, particularly myself within the De Bruce ward, and we've worked together really as a good team over the last 5 years. His input has been instructive, articulate, and always with people at the heart of anything he says. He did a terrific job as Chair of Adult Services for a number of years, bringing a wealth of experience from his background, as well as the knowledge that he'd accrued. His values and integrity have been very obvious in the way he has worked as a councillor, and he will be a great miss in the Labour group, in the council, in the ward, and in fact the wider town. So we wish him all the best for the future. We wish Leslie all the best for the future, and all the standing councillors that are standing down all the very best for the future. Thank you, Chair.
Well said, Brenda. Thank you for that. Councillor Lee Cartwright.
Thank you, Chair. You'll be relieved to know, like Councillor Paddy Brown, I'll keep it very short. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know that Councillor Leslie Hamilton wasn't going to run. I'm quite shocked, and I think she's done loads and loads of great work for the WASPI campaign. I'm passionate about the WASPI campaign. And like Paddy Brown, Councillor Paddy Brown, I do wish everyone the best. And Shane, thanks very much for the compliments, because you're right, every councillor in full council do a lot of hard work, and they do deserve that praise. And us to Councillor Christopher Akers-Belcher, I did think we weren't going to see eye to eye this year. I did think it was going to be really hard work working with you, but you've made it a pleasure, Christopher, so thank you very much. And I wish you all the best for the future. Thanks.
Thanks for that, Lee. I'll now move progress and we'll hand over to Denise McGuckin, the Managing Director.
Thank you, Chair. It was just to let members know, I've just received a text from Brenda Loynes in hospital, and she just wants to say thank you to all officers and members for their good wishes. And she's tried to watch the council meeting this evening, but she hasn't been able to. But she wants to thank you all for working so hard over the last year, and she sends you all her love from the bottom of her heart. So, especially those councillors are standing down. So that's lovely, isn't it? That I've just received that on my phone. So that was it, Chair.
Thanks, Denise. I don't need to add anything to that. It's the last meeting of full council. Thanks everybody for all of your efforts, officers, councillors alike. And we wish you all the very best, and please stay well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Brenda Harrison.